Let's just jump right into it. The last time we spoke, you had just announced that you made $250,000 in 1 year just off of Beatstars alone. Just Beatstars sales, $250,000. Let's be honest, you're not gonna find these videos anywhere else. Why? Because I make them. So it would really help me out if you subscribe. If you've already subscribed, what also really helps is if you like the video and leave a comment. It's hard in the era of clickbait videos on YouTube and negativity in the producer community, and I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. You might have noticed that I'm using a different microphone than what I normally use. So Toner sent me this mic, the Q9. This is a USB condenser. It's the USB model. It's plug and play. I mean, I literally plugged it in and it worked. It's actually compatible with the PlayStation 4. It's a 16mm diaphragm mic. It's a cardioid condenser. Here's probably what you want to hear. This mic costs $54.99. Obviously, price isn't everything. I got the mic, I got every cable I needed, I got the boom stand that mounts directly to my desk or any flat surface, and it also comes with this. And I'm using it right now, so if you're wondering how it sounds, great. I used it for this whole interview. It was the first time I used it. I just trust this brand of mic. So for me, if I were getting into podcasting, live streaming, content creation, gaming, or if I just wanted to step up the quality of my Skype and Zoom calls and video conferencing, would I recommend this mic package? Yeah, you get everything you need. Other mics that I've purchased for streaming, they sound good too. Are they priced this low? No. Do they come with the boom stand and the windscreen and everything that this mic comes with, the Toner Q9? No, they don't. So let's get into the video. You'll notice I'm using this Toner Q9 mic throughout the entire conversation with Dylan Graham. Appreciate you tuning in. Well, congratulations on that. We have other people who have the same pair of monitors. The last time we spoke, let's just jump right into it. The last time we spoke, you had just announced that you made $250,000 in 1 year just off of Beatstars alone. Just Beatstars sales, $250,000. When you first started making beats, what were your goals? Were they online sales? Were they placements? I mean, did they align with what you're doing right now?
No. I mean, I just wanted to sell beats and just make money, I think I'm not going to say everyone's like that because a lot of people don't want to do that and they just want to get placements. But for me, it was I guess when I first started, I was working a sanitation job at a chicken poultry factory, literally cleaning up chicken guts. And I just wanted to do anything that I could to actually make money off of music because that was the worst job. Oh my God, that was terrible. Yeah, so I just wanted to make money. And I've always looked at it as a long game. If I can make money and be comfortable while I'm gradually getting better, because a lot of people don't like to look at music. I was just talking about this the other day, but a lot of people don't like to look at music as competitive, but I genuinely want to be one of the best producers in the world. That's one of my goals. So if I can just make good money while I get better, because especially in R&B, it's going to take 20, 30 years to get to that point musically, because it's just such a, it's such a deep genre. There's so much to learn. You could study it every day for literally 20, 30 years and you're still learning more every day. So, yeah, man, that was just my goal. Starting out was literally, just to answer your question, is just to make money,
Was your goal always to be the best R&B producer, or did you start making a different type of track?
I was doing hip hop first. Yeah. Boom bap kind of beats. And then probably 5 or 6 years ago, it transitioned to R&B, 2017, right before. I actually attribute a lot of my success online to right before Trapsoul came out. That was kind of a wave on SoundCloud. And I used to dig for, producers and that was kind of where I got my sound, just like curating different things that I liked from like dope producers on SoundCloud that no one knew about. And if you were like deep on the R&B on SoundCloud in like 2016, 2015, you know that like that sound was already a thing before Trapsoul came out. So I was already making beats like that. And then once that project blew up, it was like I already had a huge catalog of those type of beats. And back then I was on SoundClick. So as soon as that dropped, you know, everyone was looking for those type of beats. And, you know, I just started getting a lot of sales because I had such a deep catalog of like literally that genre. So, yeah.
I think that's a dope story because you see so many people still to this day debating the whole type beats thing. And it's like, they're so unoriginal. You're chasing other people's sounds. And it's like, that just proves what's really happening, which is people are just making beats and whatever catches on. You just want
to market it. It's like you make the beat and then afterwards you're like, how can I get as much eyes on this as possible? You know,
that was perfect timing. Who would you say was making, was it like Coop and them, or like who was making the Trapsoul sound before it?
No, I didn't find out about Coop until a couple of years ago. You're talking about Coop the Truth?
Yeah, because I feel like Coop the Truth has always been pretty forward thinking in terms of this.
For sure. As far as sound design, man, like, yeah, everyone copies his style now. Like I said it a while ago, it's like everyone kind of is starting to sound like, I mean, not everybody, but a lot of new producers that are making samples are starting to sound like a best choice version of Coop the Truth, because they're all trying to, you know, copy a sound, which is fine. You got to, you know, copy people when you first start out to learn, but no shade on that. But no, it was, man, so many people. I think taking it way back, probably like, I can't even remember. One of the first names that comes to mind is like Eastbound, who ended up doing like stuff for Travis Scott, but back then he was just uploading to SoundCloud. There's a bunch of producers. I can't even think, it was so many years ago, but that was like, shout out to Eastbound. Yeah, he's fire. Yep.
Yeah, and I've had him on here, so I appreciated him doing that.
Yeah.
Chris Kane wants to know, this is an interesting question. Do you feel like, given that you've done both genres, are the demographics different? Would you say, are the people making R&B finding that their beats are getting more sales than someone making, I don't know, rap or pop?
No.
Or not pop, or like, I don't know. Is there a difference in the demographics? And
you mean the type of people that buy?
Yeah, like are people who want R&B and pop spending more?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they're definitely different types of people, you know. I feel like especially the more like soul stuff is generally like a little bit older, mid-20s. I feel like more like, you know, more mature sounding R&B is going to attract like a more mature audience. But as far as the sales being more for R&B, no. Because like there's people that are making trap beats that are absolutely killing it and making a ton of money. So, yeah.
Got it.
Either way, you can make money. It doesn't really matter.
Can you recall your very first major placement?
I think that it was, well, the first cut that I got that I ever heard of, like, hey, this artist cut to your beat was Dave East and Jacquees on, it ended up being his single for his debut album. But that dropped about a year later. And I think the first one that actually came out was with my guy, Daniel Cruz. I think we talked about this last time. It was Currency, Mozzie, and Burner, I think, on one track. So that was my first placement. Yeah.
And in a nutshell, because someone asked me this question before you joined, and I was talking about, you know, how all of my placements have pretty much come through different sources and different paths.
All over the place, yeah.
So what was like what's the short version of that story of your first placement?
Sent him a sample. He hit me back like a couple months later, hey, we got a record. Pretty sure it was through my guy Cosmo. Shout out to him. Yeah, just sent him a sample. Yeah.
We have a question coming in from J2X or J2XX. How often are you doing actual sessions with artists? I know that's something that you have been doing more of lately. And then are there any unspoken rules of studio sessions that you've learned about?
I don't do a lot of sessions. I've done very few. This year I've done like nothing, really. Unspoken things on sessions is like, just come in humble and like, respect other people's opinions and be open to like different input and, just be yourself. Like you're literally just chilling with people like making music. So I don't think there's any crazy rules, but I haven't been in any major sessions. So I don't know yet, but I've been getting invited to a lot of them lately since these last couple records. So hopefully later this year, I'm going to, make a couple LA trips. And yeah, I'm not the person to ask about that.
Maybe one of the unwritten rules is don't post the music on social media as it's being made, because that's kind of a leak.
Yeah. And
unless it's cool, your music. Yeah.
Yeah. Or if they're doing it themselves, then sure. Yeah. But yeah, that's kind of weird to just sneak record shit.
So Purple House said your advice on learning scales and playing chords has definitely helped with the quality of music, which is leading him to sales. So he says thank you. And that was a dope gem that you dropped last time. Can you just remind everybody what that method of learning scales and well, not even learning scales, it was learning how to play piano.
Just playing in one key. Musicians are gonna hate me for this because this is like a thing in like, with musicians is like some people only play in one key. But if you're a producer specifically, you can transpose. You can go into your DAW, for example, in FL Studio, and you can literally just right click on the key and it transposes it. So just learn as many chords as you possibly can. Learn like 3 or 4 chords that has the same root note on every single key on the keyboard. Learn some diminished stuff, learn as much as you can, and then you can literally just transpose it and boom, you sound like you're incredible on the keys. And, people will hit me up, even people who are crazy on the keys are like, yo, how long have you been playing? I'm like, a couple years, just on and off. And they're like, it doesn't sound like that. It's because I'm transposing. I just learned one key. It's way, way faster. If you're a producer, if you're trying to play live stuff, it's a bad idea. But
where did you, when you were teaching yourself piano through your method, where were you learning the chords?
YouTube. Everything I know how to do in life is from YouTube, like literally everything.
Hanging acoustic panels included?
Yes. To make them level, yep.
Did yours have the Z clips, the super confusing? I like them now, but
the ones that are like this?
Yeah, but they're in the shape of a really thin, jagged Z, like almost a thunderbolt shape.
Yes. Yep.
They're secure. They're great.
They were hard to hang. I'm not gonna lie. It took me a long time to hang them, but it's dope. Like I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. When I first got mine, I was like, "What the hell what am I supposed to do with this thing?" It took me. I asked my dad for help. And
where'd you get your panels?
Damn. It was some. They weren't cheap. It was some. Like just a panel manufacturing company. I forget.
It's like online, yeah. Like AZ or something like that.
I think it started with an A, yeah.
Yeah, I think I got it from the same place, yeah. And they got like a little template, like a piece of paper template to hang it.
Yeah, just a piece of paper and nothing else. Yeah. So, and I lost that piece of paper right away. So I just started doing measurements from that point on, and they're pretty accurate. If you can use a measuring tape and a pencil and all that, you'll be fine.
Right, exactly. I like doing that kind of stuff though. I like woodworking. Like I built this desk and all these rack units and stuff.
Oh, you did? Can we see it?
I don't want to turn this just because this battery on this laptop is terrible. But yeah.
I didn't know you were on a laptop.
Yeah.
I didn't know you did that. That's crazy. You have a lot of hidden talents. So, speaking of living the dream, you lived the dream of many producers, myself included, which is to get listed on Billboard as a top producer. And I believe you were actually number 2 on the R&B producer charts, which I'm sure felt good, especially since you were above Jermaine Dupri and Brian Michael Cox.
Bruno Mars, The Weeknd.
And Bruno Mars and The Weeknd.
Yeah.
Which track was that for? How did that happen?
Well, I think the 2 biggest ones were the Summer Walker. That was Billboard number 1 on the 200, and then the one that really shot it up there was the Hours and Hours by Money Long. It peaked at, I think, like 16 on the charts, and now she signed, so it's, she's got the label push now, and it's climbing back up the charts again. So we'll see. I don't think I'll ever get to number 1, at least not anytime soon, because, I mean, D-Mile is number 1, and that guy's literally the GOAT, so I'm not going to get ahead of myself.
Well, things change.
In time, maybe. Yeah.
Well, and some people have great weeks, too. I'm just saying it could happen.
Yeah.
So let's talk about those couple records. The big number 1 gold selling album, probably soon to be platinum. I don't know if Summer Walker's platinum yet, but the Still Over It album went gold a couple months ago.
Yeah.
And it was number 1 for a long time. It really hung on to that spot.
Mm-hmm.
You were on that album along with a bunch of mutual friends. Boofa already asked about it because Memory was on here talking about his involvement in that project. How did that whole thing go down?
Well, I mean, the way the sample was made, or just how do we get the placement?
Yeah, however you want to answer the question, I'm open to it.
The sample was made very interestingly because I think either Dream Life hit me up or I hit him up. Either one of us had an idea to because I'm real slow at making packs. I used to be a lot slower. I'm better now. But I was like, hey, man, how about I flip one of your sample packs and turn them into samples that sound nothing like your samples. And then we go splits on the pack and sell that. And then he's like, how about I do it with yours? So I literally just sent him stems of a bunch of samples. And I was working with Memory. Shout out to Memory. I found out about him through, Dream Life. So I had a huge folder of just guitar replays of I would send him a progression. He would play over it. And then, so I just had this huge folder of even stuff that I didn't end up using it. So I sent it to Dream and he flipped them. And then we just kind of did a collab pack where we're recycling samples. And that's how that sample came about. I think I did the keys, Memory played the guitar over it, and then Dream just chopped it up, flipped it, put different stuff on it. And then I believe a producer named Active by Night bought the pack. He posted on YouTube, and she found it on YouTube, surprisingly. Apparently, a lot of her project was found beats off of YouTube, which is crazy because, you wouldn't think that, but it's kind of wild how many big artists are doing that now, just getting beats off Beatstars and YouTube for their project. Yeah, pretty crazy.
Yeah, I guess I'm not that surprised, but I think what surprises people is that R&B artists, it's not just rappers, are finding their beats on, and pop artists too. I didn't know this was Beatstars put out I don't know if they put the video out or if I just happened to see it because of, I don't know, some top secret leak or something, but I didn't know that I Am Woman was a Beatstars beat. I didn't know that Carol's Daughter's song Violent was a Beatstars beat.
I Am Woman by Doja Cat?
No, by Emmy Melly.
Oh, okay. That's crazy. There's a lot.
Yeah. So I think hopefully that whole internal struggle that producers are feeling where they want placements, but they also want to put beats online, but they think, well, if I put beats online, I won't get placements. Hopefully that ends with these stories.
Bro, artists don't care. Even if other artists, small artists have their beat, they don't some artists care, a lot of them don't care anymore, because once you do it once, and I mean, especially a big artist, most of the artists that are buying beats online are, not doing millions and millions of streams. So it doesn't matter. And there's so many dope producers on Beatstars and on YouTube. Like, I don't think there's any difference between a industry quality beat and a beat online. It's like, I don't know.
Bufo had a question earlier about splits. So in a scenario where you're being sampled for a placement, and maybe you have collaborators, is it a challenge to decide on splits, or has that been pretty easy for you?
Between other producers, you said, or sample makers?
Okay, I might know why you're laughing, because I had obviously Memory's my best friend, so he told me about some crazy things that are going on with a pretty big record that's at like 20 million plays right now on YouTube.
Dude, most records, most songs are a headache when it comes to splits. In my experience, and I think most producers would agree with it, especially with sample packs, man, because that's one thing. I mean, we talk about, labels or there being a stigma with beats online. Sample packs and clearing samples and doing like a sample license with the label, most of the time it isn't a big deal, but there's some labels that don't understand it still. So there's definitely been a lot of issues with that. It's getting better, but I mean, when it comes to splits, yeah, there's always going to be people trying to get more and not wanting to give you what you're owed and just being greedy. Especially when you don't place it yourself. The ones that I place, it's never an issue, because usually the person who places it is the one that feels entitled to take more of the song because they did the drums and they placed it. So yeah, we could talk about this all day. There's been I'm sure you've seen, there's so many conversations on Instagram the last couple of months about sample makers versus producers, and it's always going to be a battle on splits. It's business. People want to get more of a cut. They feel entitled to more because they did X, Y, and Z, and the other way around. So, yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I know by default, all of us, correct me if I'm wrong, when I say us, I mean like we're kind of like a loosely put together outfit that, like you and I have never worked on a sample pack, but me and Dream Life have, and like Memory and I, and we're all just kind of connected in one way or another. And I know we always put pretty clear terms, and they're not unreasonable. It's something like 20%, whatever. And that seems fair. And I know the big conversation that went viral was with Producer Grind and Palace, right?
Yep.
That was the big one, where Palace said, yeah, you can take the majority if you get the record placed. And I don't think any of us disagreed with that. I certainly didn't, but that's like a, you get 30, I get 20 kind of situation, not like a, you get 90, I get 10.
Right.
And I feel, tell me how your experience is. I feel like taking the majority, if you got the record placed, is fine. Being greedy is a different conversation. And the greedier you are, the less likely you are to continue working.
I see it a little bit differently, just because, all right, look at it this way, especially with you guys do full out samples with like multiple instruments. It takes you a long time to make that sample. A lot of bigger producers, including myself, when I'm not a big producer, but when I flip other people's samples, I don't typically go crazy and chop it up and do all this stuff. I just throw drums on it. If it's already dope, sometimes I'll do my own thing, but same thing with a lot of these guys, their turnover rate is insane. They'll throw drums on a sample with like 10 instruments, and it takes them like 15 minutes, and then they place it. And they say drums is half of the song, half of the beat, which realistically, there's 7 instruments on it. So sometimes I feel like people forget that bands were a thing, man. Like every instrument is its own thing, you know, especially when you're spending like 15 hours on a sample, or, you know, working with session musicians, paying people out. Sometimes spending like a couple days on a sample if it's really crazy, you know, which ideally it's not the most productive thing to do. But, you know, I don't think drums is always half the beat, especially if you just loop it. And I've had times where people don't even put drums on it. They just send the sample out, like loop it. And then they say, hey, I want to take, you know, 70% of the record because I placed it, even though I didn't do anything to the sample. So it depends, you know, it's a really touchy subject because every situation is different. But there's been times where I said, hey, like you did a lot to this sample and you placed it. So like you take 60%, I take 40. I don't even feel right taking 50-50. So it just depends on the situation, you know, but sometimes, you know, producers, like I said, will just throw a kick, snare and hi-hat and want to take the vast majority of the record, which I will never do. I don't care if they, you know, they don't like me afterwards, just because I don't want to do business with that person in the first place, you know. And I've been working with some of the biggest producers, mostly them just flipping samples. And a lot of them come out of the gate with, hey, I just do 50-50 splits. Most of the biggest producers just, they do that out of respect, you know. So
I noticed that it's kind of this thing where I feel like the people that aren't that experienced are looking to grab every little piece. And honestly, in general, that piece isn't worth as much as they think it is.
Mm.
Like that extra 5-10% that they're trying to grab and maybe offend somebody that could prove a useful partner in the future. It's just not worth sacrificing that relationship for.
Yeah. Yep. It's a balance, man, because you can piss people off, but you also don't want to. Can I swear on this?
Absolutely not. Abe never swears, and Mike Trampy never swears.
Okay.
I'm kidding that they cuss all the time.
I was like, what? Yeah, just you don't want to let people fuck you over, you know, but you also don't want to piss people off. So it's like it's a balance. You just gotta take every situation differently and, you know, be smart about it. It's tricky.
Yeah.
Politics are very tricky, you know.
So then let's talk about another track that actually has gone platinum that you alluded to. That was a Money Long record. I mean, that's huge because that's a platinum single. It's not an album that went platinum. It's the single. How congratulations, by the way. That's amazing.
Thank you, bro.
How did that come about? You implied that she wasn't even signed at the time that you produced the beat.
Nope. She up until like a week ago, she was independent. She was a songwriter for years and years. Incredible writer, by the way. Like she writes hits. She's done stuff with everyone. I'm pretty sure Rihanna, like huge artist. And yeah, she found the beat on YouTube, Beatstars too, which is crazy. Because I remember last time we were talking, or every time we've talked, and you always ask me the same question: have you got any placements off YouTube? And it was always no. And then my 2 biggest records have been literally from YouTube. So yeah, independent artist, song blew up. It's pretty crazy.
How did the track come together? Was that a collab or was that all you?
So I did the sample. So I basically wrote a progression, and then I think I sent some voice notes to one of the homies, and we got some instrumentation on it. So Justin Zim on the guitar, he replayed the chords, and then the homie Isaac Riston on the bass, and Cold Illumination on the vocals. They sent all that stuff to me, and then I just did extra Rhodes and you know, textures, and mixed everything, and then put it in one of my sample packs. A producer named Ralph Tiller bought the pack. He flipped the beat, posted on YouTube. He did drums, and it blew up on YouTube. I think he had almost like 1 million views on the beat, on, you know, as a type beat. And then she found the beat along with a ton of other artists, like major artists who have cut to that. There's been like 10 people that recorded to that beat, that were trying to use it before her song blew up. And yeah. Yep. Shout out to the homies.
That's a crazy story. So someone Grantastic wants to know if you still upload beats to YouTube. And that was one of those things where you kind of never really prioritized YouTube, did you?
No, I didn't. Email marketing for a long time was my thing. And then just kind of like word of mouth, honestly, like there's just, because I've been selling beats since 2009. Crazy to think it's been 13 years. So I have a lot of return customers, and then just people that know about my site. So it was never really a thing. I promoted on SoundClick for a long time. YouTube, I started out on there, but for the last like 4 or 5 years, it's been very inconsistent uploads. I'll go like a couple months uploading and then come off. But yeah, I've never really focused too much on YouTube, you know?
Got it. How do you balance doing all of this industry stuff, you know, Billboard, being a top Billboard producer with all these plaques coming in, with beat leasing and maintaining a presence on the platform?
I don't. I think we talked about this last time. Like balance is like a thing that doesn't exist in my life. It's like I'm all in on one thing, and then I'm letting another thing kind of slack. And then once that, you know, starts to kind of slow down, I'll switch. I'm really bad at it, to be completely honest. And lately I've been mostly focusing on samples and placement stuff. And the beat store, I upload every once in a while. I'm starting to outsource and work with just like a select few of like really dope producers to help me keep uploading, and we're going to get back into that. But yeah, Beatstars has been for the last couple of months has been like a little slower, just because I'm just working on placement stuff. So, and I'm sure in a few months I'll switch it up and go back there. But yeah, I'm terrible with balance, to answer your question.
Okay, I'm just going to ask this question because it came in. I'm looking forward to your answer. What's the best way for an artist to work with you at no cost for the artist?
Just don't. You can't. I mean, if you're really, really, really dope artist and you have like a little bit of a following and I love your music, we can go 50-50 splits on the master, and I'll work with you. Which is typical with the independent artists. If they don't have a label to pay out and they really want to work with you, then you just go 50-50 splits on the master. But that's only if I absolutely love your music. Even if I just kind of like it, I can't. I know a lot of producers say no free beats, but I mean, there's nothing wrong with just taking money on the back end. So
is that the arrangement you had with Money Long, or did she license the beat?
I don't know if I should talk about it. It's like a thing. I mean, first she licensed the beat, but the producer sold it. It's kind of an issue. And I was talking to one of the guys from Beatstars about it. So when you're selling a sample, right? I'm curious your opinion on this too. You're selling a sample. Most producers, they do. If you sell more than, or if the artist is independent and gets more than 1 million streams, then we have to work out splits. I don't know if you do that as well, but a lot of sample makers do, like on Drum Broker, like Kingsway and stuff like that. That's usually in the agreements as well as mine. So how do you sell an unlimited license on Beatstars with someone's sample that has that in the contract? You can't, right? So a lot of people who buy sample packs and then post to Beatstars with unlimited licenses, they don't even look at that. They don't think about that. So that's basically what happened with her. She bought an unlimited license from the producer. He's the homie, so this is no shade to him. He just didn't, know. Never had any placements, didn't look into the contracts. Obviously, it surpassed 1 million streams. So we had to actually work out a legitimate contract, and she had to buy the beat exclusively. We sold the sample to her exclusively as well, which is the first time I've ever done that. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's another issue then, the exclusivity of a sample, which is a new thing because, with traditional samples, no one's selling a sample exclusively. You clear it and that's it, and people have access to that sample as they please. But nowadays, I feel like maybe it's just a generational thing because I'm super appreciative of the fact that I can have amazing samples that don't require clearance, from people like you or whoever I'm working with.
Mm-hmm.
I have to split. That's all. But with people who grew up just getting sample packs and not actually having to dig and not having to deal with the potential of them losing their publishing or the sample not even getting cleared and then they lose that placement, I feel like they're asking for a lot from the sample makers, a lot more leeway and flexibility. And I think that can be a bad thing if there's not strong communication and mutual respect. And you're seeing that mutual respect kind of wane when people are weaponizing terms like loop maker, or even the flip side of that is, it's easy to just add drums to a track. You don't deserve shit. You just put drums over a track.
Yeah.
It's like, nah, man, everyone is valid. Everyone's contributions are valid. We just need to come together and respect each other.
100%.
So that's frustrating because it should be easy. It should be way easier. Like you being a sample maker and releasing packs that are clearance guaranteed, that should be easy. And then, like you said, it's not.
I mean, also you got to consider when you say clearance guaranteed. So if someone gets a placement with a small independent artist who only wants to pay $500 for the beat and the producer agrees to it, so you guys have to take whatever 50%, you get $250. Now you got to pay your manager and your attorney has to write up a sample license agreement. You have to review the contracts, all for $250, right? If you think of that's like the extreme example that usually doesn't happen, but that's when it comes to the point where it's like, should we do samples exclusively and stop selling packs? Because I don't know about you guys, but we get a lot of those small new artists who just signed, who the label gave them like no budget, or they're like independent artists who just does not want to pay. And I feel like it's multiple a week of just these small ones, and it's so time consuming, especially for the attorney. So when you say sample clearance is guaranteed, it's like it is, but it's going to take time to get to all of those small ones. You know what I mean? So that's also where a lot of issues get caused, because producers will be like, hey, why are you taking so long? Like, all you got to do is sign the contract. And it's like, there's a lot more to it than that, So that also causes a lot of issues with selling samples, which I don't think a lot of people think about until they get to that point where it's like, damn, there's so many like small ones. And is it worth the time going through all this, So yeah, there's a lot of like unexplored like territory when it comes to, because it's so new. Like you said, like this whole sample thing is so new that there's a lot of issues that come out that you gotta try and navigate and figure out how to handle. So it's interesting for sure.
So you worked on a soundtrack of a RZA film?
Yep. That was a beat. Yeah. That was a beat that I sent to one of the homies a long time ago. He recorded to it, and I think his manager just got it placed on the film. Yeah. Like his song was just, in a random scene on the film. I honestly didn't even really ask him how it happened. I just sign the contract. But yeah, it was a really, really old beat. I made that like probably 6 or 7 years ago.
How was dealing with the business around that different from just, an average place?
I actually did the contracts way before I had a manager. And shout out to my manager Mike and my lawyer Andrew Krentz. They taught me so much. But before I knew them, I was just kind of signing whatever. Like I had a loosely kind of had an attorney, but I didn't know how anything worked. That one, I literally just signed the first thing they sent me and took the money. So, I don't think that song was a huge major part of the project. So it's not like I got screwed over or anything, but I just signed the first thing they sent me.
Well, you read it and you understood that you probably weren't giving up any intellectual property rights.
Oh, I sold it to him exclusively, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
With the license though, it's kind of like free money.
Yeah. Yeah, in a way. I don't know what was in that contract. There could have been anything in there.
Okay, let's move on then. What overall advice can you give producers who want to get placements?
Networking is number one. It sounds corny, but it's just true. Like your net worth is your network. So it's like on Instagram, networking, collaborating with other producers. But the thing is especially no bigger producers are going to want to work with you unless you're bringing some sort of value. So if you're an incredible musician, make videos of you playing the keys or make sample packs. When you make stuff that sounds like really good or to where you feel like it's better than most people, there you go. You got your value and you can pretty much work with any producer because especially all these industry guys, they're out there digging online, looking for the best sample makers. If you're a producer too, selling beats online, that's what you do. You go on Drum Broker, Kingsway every day. You go on Instagram, dig for like dope, unheard sample makers, and then you buy all their packs and then you flip their stuff. And with these industry guys, that's what they do. Some of them do their own stuff, but most of them just like turn over beat after beat after beat, find the dopest samples they can, throw drums on. So that's number one. Number two is if you're working directly with artists, make your shit as simple as possible. Don't overproduce. That's what I did for most of my entire career is like adding way too much stuff. I feel like we all know that by now. So just overproducing will kill every potential placement you could get because there's no room for an artist.
And even online sales too.
Yeah. But yeah, those are the two main things, just networking, making samples. Changed my life, changed a lot of people's lives. I'm in a group chat with like a lot of the guys on Drum Broker and Kingsway. And we started it like 2 years ago. Nobody had any plaques or placements or anything like that. And now it's like every single one is Grammy nominated, multi-platinum, working with all the biggest artists in the world. So I always say like making samples is the number one best thing that you can do if you're trying to get placements, for sure. Because you don't have to, you even don't even have to send out packs. Like I never DM people. As soon as I post a snippet of my sample pack on my page, all the industry guys will DM me like, yo, that sounds fire, send that. And I just got the same link. I just send it to all of them. And making samples, networking, don't overproduce. Good to go.
Dope. Well, we're at time. How do people contact you? I know there's someone in the chat that wants me to broker like a free work with Dylan collab opportunity. I'm not doing that. They can contact you directly. How do they follow you? How do they get the sample packs and everything like that?
At Dylan USOB on Instagram. You can just DM me. If you're asking for free stuff, I probably just won't answer you. And then my sample packs, thesamplestash.com. That's about it. Yeah, Beatstars, Dylan Graham. Everything else, just Dylan Graham. If you just Google it, it'll all come up. So.
And I put it in the chat. It's Dylan Yousob, as in the line from Predator, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Got it. Hey, well, once again, man, I appreciate it. Thank you. I know you were rushing today to make this happen, so we thank you,
bro.
To everyone in the chat. Appreciate you as well. What is coming up next week is Mini Producer Part 3. This is the first Mini Producer trilogy. So let's see if we can turn it into a quadrilogy. We'll see about that. And then after Mini Producer is the session that we've been teasing, which is Memory and Cloud9, and we're going to talk about taxes. We're going to talk about financial literacy, all this stuff that we never talk about because we've probably fucked up our money at some point or another as producers, not knowing how to do. I'm sure you have some stories too, Dylan. Feel free to jump on that conversation if you want.
Oh, I would love to. Yeah, for sure.
I'll send you the link. We'll talk because I know. Anyway, it's going to be an interesting conversation. Trust me, you're going to want to tune in for that after the level of honesty that Memory displayed on his last conversation. We will.
Oh, I got to see that.
Yeah, we're in for some brutal honesty and reality checks. So Dylan, once again, appreciate you. Shout out to everyone in the stream. Yep, Cloud9, absolutely. Thank you, Grandtastic. Thank you, Bufo. You spent all your beat sales money. See, this is what we're talking about. So, Shay, you should tune in. I'll see you there. Until next time, have a good weekend, everyone. Peace.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, thank you.